Hi, welcome to Engage Live. I'm your host Donal Doherty, and we're here today with the incredible fine art photographer Audrey Kelly. I'm excited to be joined by Audrey today for this In Focus interview, and we're going to find out all about Audrey's background, how she got into photography, a little bit about her background, and about some of her incredible work that she's doing as well. You can watch us live and free on Engage, or of course you can purchase the class by clicking here or here, and you'll own it in your account, and you can watch it whenever you'd like. So Audrey, thank you so much for joining me on the couch today.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to Engage Live.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. So obviously, some people out there will have heard of you, and other people, this is probably the first time that they have heard of you, and they're in for a treat as your profile continues to grow, because it's kind of been meteoric.
What does that mean?
I haven't said that right, have I? It's been going good, right?
Yeah, well, for just starting out, yeah, it's been going good. It's kind of like just took off
Cool.
really well. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you're being kind of very, what would you say, very humble, because you have more awards than you could shake a stick at, right?
well, yeah.
So just recently, talk us through some of the accolades that you've kind of picked up, even just since the beginning of the
Well,
year.
this year has been a busy year. So from the start of 2016, I where have I SWPP. So I won the Digital Artist Photographer of the Year with one of my fine art pieces, and then I won then through the print competition. I won the category, the Novar category, which is the one for like beginners and when you're first time entry and stuff like that. So I think I came first and second. So I got the overall in that category. So I got two nice wee pieces of glass home from London. And then I went to then Vegas, which again was the print competition, and my prints did pretty well. I got 5 out of 5 displayed, and they all scored like 2 silvers and 3 silver with distinctions. And then the PANI, the PPNI, which was just a couple of weekends ago, and that was the overall photographer.
Yeah, so the Panic Professional Photographers Association Northern Ireland there, and that's not the first time that you've won awards there, right?
No, I got my cup back again.
Yeah, so you already actually won Northern Ireland Photographer of the Year, is that right?
Yes.
I'll make sure I get that. How many times?
Well, this is my second
This
time.
is your second
Yeah.
time, right? So you've got it twice, and along with everything else. So where on earth do you keep all these awards? Like, do you have a
Kind
cabinet?
of bits here, bits there. I don't have, my cabinet's not big enough.
Yeah.
So I have a place actually in Maherfelt as well. So I've some displayed there, and I've some displayed at my studio in Dungiven. So they're just kind of wee bits everywhere.
Yeah, you do.
Actually, I
yeah.
might just try and put them all together. It might look a bit more, a bit nicer.
You don't like keep one in like a toilet or something like that, so just to
No.
kind of remind yourself of how
Toilet roll
awesome you are
holder.
in the day. So you're actually based in Dungiven, which is outside of Derry here in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you had another location, which is how far away from?
It's about half an hour drive.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great, cool. So how did you get started? What's been the start of this whole kind of process? When did you first get interested in photography?
Well, all my life I've been into art. Every second of the day when I was younger, I used to just draw and paint and whatever. And then obviously when I went to school, then that kind of continued on. And I didn't do great in my art GCSE, and other subjects were I didn't do great in them either. But I then went on then to do. I always knew that my thing was going to be something creative. It was kind of my strength. I do suffer slight dyslexia, so that was always my strength, was always my creative side of things. So I knew I was going to go into a career like that. So then I just then went on to do my BTEC National Diploma in the Tech, Lumley Valley Tech, which then got me into foundation art. Then it continued on. It got me into then to study the design course in McGee University, and then basically then I was interested in film studies, and then it was photography.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of come all from that.
Yeah, so I know that you come from like a kind of design background, and what was it that you liked about working in design as such?
Again, I think it was just my easier option, because of just how I am. I just like the creative process, and just like being able to use different mediums and that, and to make art and to make design and things like that. So I think if you're creative through the board. You can be creative in interior design, you can be creative in like any kind of aspects of your life. So what was I saying?
So that's obviously brought you to the point of you know, at what point did you decide, you know what, like I'm really enjoying design, but I think photography is something I'd like to explore more?
Well, actually, what happened was, if you do a degree, you kind of always pinpointing, even from you leave school, you're always pinpointing into like a subject or like your kind of your favorite or your strength kind of thing. Like, so I kind of had pinpointed into like film. So the film side of things then was my final major project was in a short film. So I created a short film, and it actually was all taken with stills. At the time, the subject matter was date rape. So at that time, it was really like happening. So that was my subject matter. And then I thought then the stills then would kind of be a good concept because you've got that missing, kind of the missing link kind of thing. Like, so that was my first encounter with photography. Then after that, it was basically Northern Ireland's far too small for any opportunities in the film industry. And I had Chloe at that time, and I just knew I couldn't move to London or move anywhere else that probably would be better suited for the likes of career in film or that. So I had to just do the next best thing, which was my photography. So the way I see it is that you're just storytelling through a camera rather than motion that stills. So it was really just...
That was kind of the start for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your first camera? What did you first go for?
D80. I think I bought it with a student loan. It was the D80. It did the job. I even done weddings with it, like, and that. And at the time, you think, "Wow, it was amazing." But now, like, your cameras these days, like, you know, they're unbelievable. And you look back now at the work that you did do, and you're like, "Oh crap! I actually sold that to clients." Like, but and they do say your camera's not really what's important, but for me, I think so, because it limits you. Do you know what I mean? If and I can be more creative now with my better cameras.
Yeah, with the tools that are at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Chloe earlier on. Obviously, you're married and you have like how many kids do you got?
Two
kids. So
mm-hmm.
you got like a lovely little family and
mm-hmm.
everything going on as well. And that obviously is part of your story and it kind of influenced you. And we'll talk more about that in a little second also. So then you got into photography, and how did you kind of get that going as such? Was it weddings or portraits, or what area first kind of caught your interest?
Actually, it was kind of my mother-in-law that put it into my head. It was Chloe's first birthday, and I had took a picture, just ordinary camera, it was nothing special, and she had says to me, I actually got it printed, framed, and whatever, like, and she loved it, and she was like, "You should be a photographer," kind of thing, like, and I never really had thought about it until she kind of had said that, and then I just then started to try and build a clientele, and you know, as you kind of do, and I had like they let me use, like, they have like a big house, like, well, big house, and they let me use like a basement that they had for space to open up like a studio. So I used that first and just tried to build and work on my reputation and get my name out there. But I also was working as a graphic designer at the same time, so it was kind of part-time basis for a few years, and then I went out full-time in 2009.
Yeah, and how many years had you been at that stage before you went full-time?
Well, I say I picked up a camera properly in 2007. Yeah. And then I went out full-time in 2009.
Cool. And your business, C2 Photography and Design, right?
Yes.
There is a good there's a story behind that a little bit, yeah.
Yes, well, I like that if you name a business, that you need some kind of explanation. So C2 comes from, well, the truth is it used to be my husband Cahill and my wee girl Chloe, but then my son came along and he's called Cahan. So I use now the two C's, which is my two children now. Yeah. So that's where the C2 comes from.
Oh, that's cool. And so since then, you know, how's that kind of journey developed since 2009? You know, what are some of the things that have happened? Obviously, you're really busy wedding and portrait photographer now, I think that would be fair to say. And what have been kind of the things that you really remember since 2009, the things that really stand out in your mind in terms of the kind of milestones?
Okay, just being really busy and just not having a clue at the start, and you just get overwhelmed with work because you don't really know, you take on too much. Do you know what I mean? So I had to then really make decisions because I was a mum. okay, my phone's ringing, and it's Chloe.
Good timing.
Huh?
We're going to talk more about Chloe in a second, right?
So no, basically, as a mum and running a business, it can be really difficult, and a wife and whatever, like it can be really difficult. So for me, like I did make mistakes. I made loads of mistakes at the start because I just hadn't a clue. So for me, I just had to concentrate on how can I simplify my business so that I can, you know, do things that I really want to do for myself as well, and plus get the work out.
And how many years were you in business before you had that realization? Because I know for myself, I had a similar situation in that eventually I think I got to a point where I thought, well, jeepers, this is crazy. I'm up all night editing and
See,
I'm doing
I was the
this
same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you just wake up and you just think, no, that's enough's enough. Like my husband was kind of ganching at me as well. Like, and to be honest, I felt like I wasn't being the full potential mum that I should have been as well. So I felt like my children were suffering, and I just needed to pull back, and I needed to like put in steps to try and like get that balance somewhere. So so that's kind of what I've been doing since. And I have pulled back on my weddings that I do, and I only do select days shooting and wee things like that have worked a treat. And plus I got help.
Yeah.
I employed somebody on. So
how long have you been going through that process of that kind of improving your workflow and?
I would say probably this last about 3 years.
Cool. And what sort of impact has that had? You know, like now on the other end of that.
Massive. I can go to bed at night now. But even the fact that like I just feel like the relationship that I have now with my children, it's like it's so much greater. Like I feel like I'm a good mum now. Do you know what I mean? And that was my end goal. And whenever I was like where I was back then, I just thought I was such a bad mum. And I just thought, do you know, it's not fair on them. Like that was my passion, but it wasn't fair for them to kind of suffer. Do you know what I mean? I was there for them, don't get me wrong, they weren't neglected. Do you know? Yeah. But so now I'm reaping the rewards because now they do idle me, like and I do have now that time, like, you know, bedtime stories and going in and chatting them at night and stuff like that. Whereas before I just wouldn't have time to. Just work was on my mind because it was just so stressed out and just so much pressure. Do you know what I mean? So
do you think that guilt is something that a lot of parents have, that, you know, that
I think so. And they grow up so quick. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably we'll probably talk about it later, like, but that's probably the reason why I produce some of my work as well, like, and it is all that, like, they just do they grow up so quick, like, and they're away, flee the nest in no time. And then I think you would regret that. You would regret not, like, maybe going in to see them at night and things like that, like. And
yeah, well, obviously during this time we you know, we don't have like a week to talk about all your processes, but maybe if there's like one hint that you could give somebody, or like even a workflow tip that you could give somebody who's maybe starting out that will really help them to kind of sort things out a little bit, what's the key thing that you would say? I
think what worked for me best was limiting my stuff. So like I limit my weddings. Like I could have done triple the amount of weddings that I am doing this year, but I limit it to max it out at 30 only, and that's it. When we get the 30 numbers in, that's it. We close the doors. We don't take on any more, because I feel like you have to be really disciplined. And when you do set a rule, stick to it. Like Suzanne that works for me, like I'm really soft, so there's been a few people that's got sneaked in through, and Suzanne has to keep reminding me of why I did it. Do you know what I mean? So it's that kind of just limiting your shoots and limiting the amount of weddings and things like that. Like I think just being in control really of your diary. I think that's the biggest tip. Like
that can, I'm sure that can impact your creativity, right? Because
yes,
I know for me, like we have some great processes in place, but I'm still like so busy. And I think definitely if you're in a good place with good headspace and you've got that time to kind of think, you can be more creative.
Well, that's exactly how then my fine art came along, because I was able to, sort out that side of things, so then I can free my mind to other things.
So how important is it that you're true to yourself?
Very.
And obviously we're going to look at some of your work.
Yes.
I'm going to look at like how much of your work you put into your work. And I think it's fair to say that that both family is a big theme throughout. Like even it's what we mostly talked about actually since you sat down here. And, you know, I know you pretty well anyway, so we talk about lots of different things. I know it's in your name. It's ingrained into the kind of like the DNA of your business. You know, maybe in a sec we can kind of jump over and have a look at some of the images, and you can talk about that. You know, why is that such a big aspect, and why does that come in? right into your work. Is that about being authentic to what you're all about?
Well, for me, like I think a purpose, like well, my purpose as a mum is to provide for my children, like and like so that's it's important. Do you know what I mean? And that well, I don't know, maybe it's not important to everybody, but I like to know that they have good holidays and they've got good memories, and like that's what I do say. I just want to create memories for them, and then I'm happy, like to know that I've did my job as a mum, whatever. Like.
So we talked a bit before about your love for family, but obviously you mentioned film earlier on. You alluded to that you studied film as well, and I know that you're a big horror fan. We should have a mask here to scare you real quick. But
I know.
Tell us a little bit about your love for horror films.
Again, it's just something that I grew up with. I used to watch horror films when I was younger. I don't know. I don't know how I'm not like some kind of psycho or something, but. I just think you just get interested in your own wee things, like, and what makes you, like, how things makes you feel. So I just love how horrors make me feel. Do you know what I mean? I like that, like being scared and that fear factor and all them kind of like sitting on the edge of your seat and all that. Like
Lee's going to jump up behind you and scare you right now. So at any point in this interview. So what are your favourites? What are the ones that you really stand out to you?
Well, like I like psychological horror. I don't like gruesome horror. Do you know, like blood and all gore and stuff and monsters and all that crap. Like, I'd rather stuff that kind of could be true. So my biggest fear is witches. So the only ever, like I'm very hard to horror films, and the only film that ever got me, I don't think I slept for about 3 nights, was the Blair Witch Project. I just liked how it was filmed. I just really felt so real, and it really freaked me out for a long time. And plus it's probably like I don't like witches and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's just them things, and you kind of put yourself into their shoes and all that. So
that one scared me as well. Actually, I was home alone when I watched that, and believe me, it was terrifying. Yeah. Have you ever seen American Horror Story?
No.
I definitely think you should check that out. There's some great stuff in there. So that's cool. So there's a horror theme, and we'll have a look at that as well. Yeah. And what about comedy? If your husband ever says, "Hey, what about sticking on Dumb and Dumber?" I have like a really weird sense of humour. So I was telling Lee actually this other day on the phone. But if we go to I prefer to go to like a horror film because I feel like safe. I feel like you don't have to really react. Whereas like if me and my husband goes to like a comedy film, everybody in the cinema's laughing but us, and then we just feel like we're like real. Like do you know what I mean? That we've no sense of humour, but we do have a sense of humour, but it's just maybe not everything kind of ticks the boxes. Yeah,
that,
cool.
You know what I mean?
Well, we talked again about your awards earlier on, and I'd love to chat to you about that a little bit more. What was the first award that you ever? What was the first bit of glass that you ever kind of won?
The first bit of glass was again.
I know the cups, by the way, are not made out of glass, right? That they're made out of something else. Or the first major kind of award that you felt. Major
award. I don't know. Would you include like second runner-up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it was probably I was part of PPNI, and I think my first year entering, I got second runner-up in the family section. It was kind of weird because. The next year I won overall. Yeah. So, and my husband even says that. He even's like, if I don't do well one year, he's like, it's okay, you'll win it next year, kind of thing. Like, because he knows it's not always first time round. It's always the second time round kind of thing. I'll do better. Like, so that was my first experience of like glass. And I was delighted. It was the first time entering. I think I was only like in the association maybe about a year.
How does it feel like to win? Obviously, since that you've won so many different awards. How does it feel, the feeling of hearing your name called out?
Like I'm always still shocked. Like my husband, I think he had to nudge me to get up. I think it's too because like I respect so many other people's work, and like I really love like other people's work, and then I'm like, that's definitely a winner. It's definitely a winner. And then when your name's called out, do you know, it kind of fires you off a wee bit, and you're like, shit. It's like, well, maybe I shouldn't have said shit. But do you know, it's like. You think that you know who's going to be the winner, and then you kind of be shocked and taken back by it. With the SWPP, like even people says that I was just in complete disbelief walking up to the stage, and so I was. I don't know. I think it's maybe just not having enough belief in myself, maybe. So it's nice that the awards then give you that wee bit of reassurance that you are doing something right. And actually, when Chloe's pictures won, that's a whole different story. That's like tears and snotters everywhere because I'm emotionally attached to them. So I always feel differently.
So in regards to awards, at what point do you realise that you might have something that could be award winning on your hands? Is it during the actual capture of the image when you push the shutter? Or, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about your digital art in a second, or does that come in post-production, or does it depend on the image?
Well, initially you always have to have an idea. So you'll know if it works initially from your development work. But then when you take it in camera, it could look like nothing. Do you know what I mean? And then it is until like you start working on it and you add your elements and wee things in your story to it, then you kind of know. It's like the one that won the SWPP. Like that was so simple, and I thought it was finished, and then I thought of something else and I added it, and it just was like bang. Do you know, I knew it was going to do really well and it was going to impact a lot of people. Like so you could think that you're finished a picture, and then just another element, just taking it that wee bit further, could just really see it through to winning golds and winning, competitions and stuff. So I don't know, but you don't really know.
Yeah, but you know when you've got something good in your hands, right?
You know if you've got a base, yeah.
Yeah.
You know if you've got something to work on, even like a wedding photograph, like, you probably know yourself when you see it at the back of the camera, you're like, wow, okay, maybe competition, like, but the fine art stuff's a lot different because there's development work and stuff like that. So I think it's really your idea. So, and then how you execute it needs to be intact.
I mean, let me ask you this question. Obviously, you've won loads of awards. Have you failed before you were kind of successful in regards to the awards? Did you have a period where you were entering and you kind of didn't get anywhere, or did you kind of just hit it lucky and that, or not necessarily lucky, but did you kind of just start entering and start winning, or what was the process there?
Thankfully, no. I think I didn't start entering awards until I knew I had worked good enough. You see yourself developing throughout the years, and I trained. I went the length and breadth of the UK and overseas to train and to get educated so that I was to that standard that you could enter awards. And it wasn't until then that you do. You do still get knockbacks, don't get me wrong. You do get and there might be a picture that you're like, oh, it's definitely going to get a gold or it's going to get an award, and it maybe doesn't even get placed. To me, I've learned now to realise that it's not. It's the fact that you're too emotionally attached to it, and something that you maybe thinks like award winning isn't to somebody else. So I have had knockbacks, but you just get up and you get on with it. You just try a bit harder. And that's basically.
Do you see a lot of value in it as a learning experience, and how do you learn from, entering awards? How does that kind of?
You definitely do. Actually, my biggest learning was from, I never sat in with the print competitions, and I actually only ever entered just this year. So I entered the SWPP print and I entered the WPPI, and actually I entered as well the Estonia photographer festival. That's held in Estonia every year. I think it's Nikon based. And I just got the results for that, and I was gutted that I couldn't sit in on the judging, because obviously I couldn't go because I had a wedding on, but the other times I could. So I just got so much more from sitting in on the judging, and the feedback from the judges and things like that, and then you're getting feedback from other people's pictures, so you kind of see what works, what doesn't. Do you know what I mean? And what judges are actually really looking for. So that was definitely the biggest. It's the biggest recommendation I would give to anybody, that if you're entering into the print competitions, sit in on the judging and see it's scary as hell, but it's good. It's really good when it goes well. Like Jerry Cahonis sat in and he judged actually the one that won the category in the SWPP, and I was recording it like this, shaking. Jerry's one of my heroes, and to hear somebody speak to the regard that he did about my picture was just mind blowing. And a bit surreal. So it's good in that way. It can give you that wee boost of confidence, and but then if it doesn't go good, then it can go the other way. So no, definitely you need to, if you want to grow and print and stuff like that, you need to just enter and sit in on it.
It's an amazing process actually. Just for we were in WPPI together this year at the same time, and just sitting in on that judging is incredible. Just hearing the debate between the panel as they put it up. How important do you think it is that image is printed, or do you think, for you, how far is that print away from like a digital image?
You're a bit more careful about your printing, you could say. Like the PPANI, like I knew that I was like finalist in 4, and you should have seen my print. You probably did see my prints.
Oh, no.
They were so bad, and I was like, thank God that they weren't. It wasn't a print-based competition, or I definitely wouldn't have won it. Like, so whenever it is print, you'll go that extra mile with the paper, and you'll do, you'll just make sure that the edit and everything's perfect. Like, a print is, whenever you've probably seen the same WPPI, like looking at the work and the quality of those prints hanging up is unbelievable. Like, and I think if you've seen most of, like I did see some of the digital files whenever the photographers posted them up on their sites, and definitely it wasn't the same as the print. So you can see why they do the print.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, as well as very inspirational to walk around the likes of WPPI or SWPP, or if anybody, I know a lot of people watch here involved in the Guild of Photographers, and just seeing some of the work, and I'm sure you get inspired by seeing some of what's out there as well in regards to the competitions. So you mentioned Jared Johannes. Who else kind of inspires you? Who are the people that you kind of really look up to in the industry as the people that give you inspiration?
Well, Brooke Shaden definitely is my number one for the fine art. She's the one that got me into it. She's the one that just makes me still want to do it. Although I'm trying to come away from what Brooke's doing and getting get my own style kind of thing, you could say. But it's nice to have that base of inspiration and then taking it and then kind of doing your own stamp on it as well. Like, there's no point in everybody, like there's no point in me being another Brooke Shaden kind of thing, so I have to be Audrey Kelly. So it's about just being true to yourself and telling your story and how to kind of do it. So Brooke definitely would be my fine art, and I've actually discovered a few more since being WPPA. And Jerry's definitely up there with the weddings, and the portraits would probably be David and Luke Edmondson. Their work's amazing. I love
those guys. They're two of my favourite people.
They're
actually.
so lovely.
I believe am I right to say that you're adopted by David Edmondson? Is that right?
Yes, he's now adopted me, which is pretty amazing.
So I think he's got a website or something where you can go and
adopt me, David.
Yeah, so you can be adopted by David Edmondson. And I did ask him in Vegas if I went through the process if I could get a green card, but I don't think I don't think it's gonna work out. So those are the people that. And how much do you look at other photographers' work? Like, is that something? Because I know some people constantly are looking at, like, and I know for me, like when I get a chance at times, I do love looking at what other people are doing. And I know other people, they hardly ever look at other photographers' work, and they aim to take inspiration from other places. I
would never look at, like, my regional, I would never look at your work, so I don't.
Thanks.
But it's just, I just think, like, I always try and like go worldwide, or like, because I'm now like really into the fine art side of things, I'm just looking at different inspirations, so like films and like old masters of paintings, and just like, it doesn't have to be photographers. So I would tend to look at like other areas of inspiration, like films and paintings, like the old masters, and different areas like that, designers, interiors, just whatever. You could take inspiration from really anything.
How do you get that? Are you a Pinterester, or do you like to buy magazines, or what's your kind of like what's your?
I do work with Pinterest, but I don't know. Just kind of Googling, and yeah, I think it's like you kind of get into, like, it takes you to so many different avenues, doesn't it? If you get searching. Yeah. So. And one leads to another.
So back just really quickly back on the awards, like, would you recommend the people out there that maybe haven't entered awards, like, start to consider maybe to do it? Like, I know with SWPP, for example, there's a monthly competition. Would you suggest that people start doing it as kind of a learning process, or do what you did and hold off till they feel they're kind of ready, or what would be your kind of advice to people that are out there?
You most definitely have to enter. Like I was entering the monthly competitions, and I was never getting even highly commended, and now, like, even like last month I got 1 gold, and the month before that I got 4 golds through, and 2 highly commended. So I had to start somewhere, and then you kind of start to learn what's actually getting golds and what's not, and what's getting highly commended and that, like, and plus it just kind of keeps your work up to scratch. Then, like, it's a monthly thing, so like then that you're doing something right, and you're still kind of I'm not going to say on top. You're give me an
You've
award.
been the best at achieving your potential, or kind of being the
Yes.
best that you
Yeah.
can maybe be. What's next award wise? You know, do you have your eye on a prize? Like, do you say to yourself, one day I'd like to win this award, or is, you know?
Not my biggest award is I want to be known throughout. Like it's just that profile. I just want to get my name out there and get my profile out there. If that has to be about winning awards, probably that helps. Like, but WPPI probably would be the biggest one. I've got an eye on that maybe next year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I know we'll probably replay this again
And if
next
it's
year.
health predictions, it's normally that like I don't win the first year, but I do the second year.
Yeah, cool.
So-
Oh, we'll look forward to that, and good luck with that. I'm
Well,
sure
it
you're
sounds
probably,
like I'm
you
being
know.
really cocky now, though. Doesn't it?
Hey, you know what? It's okay. You got the work to back it up. You're fine. You can be
Yeah.
as cocky as you like. So that's cool. So that's kind of a big kind of aspiration that you have in regards to the awards. And I mean, that's definitely within reach, because this year you were made an associate
Yeah.
of both SWPP and WPPI as well.
It's different. The WPPI is quite different. With the SWPP, you have to submit a panel of work, whereas the WPPI, it's a scoring. So my five prints did pretty well. I was like, thank God I became a member, because if I wasn't a member, I wouldn't have got it. So you become a member first, and then your scores then get you your kind of your grades.
So how important do you feel are those qualifications? You know, the likes of licentiate and associateship. Is that like, you know, just something for yourself, or do you think it's something that clients kind of view as something important?
Do you know, if I'm honest, although I do boast about it at the time, I think like there's people around in Given and that are fed up listening to me now at this stage. But for me, it's more for myself. Like I probably won't mention now awards or any qualifications or anything to any of my clients. Like I am at the minute, like before they leave the studio, I'm like, oh, look at all my awards and kind of thing. Like, but it's never on top of the list to mention it. Do you know what I mean? But so it's more for me myself, like, and knowing that I'm still doing something right, and that if I maybe didn't get what I want, that I have to push that wee bit further. So that's how I know now for WPPI next year. I know I just have to push that wee bit further, like.
Yeah, and so kind of onto the kind of the business side of it real quick before we kind of, you know, move on to talking about your digital art and the fine art stuff that you're doing a little bit more. You know, how important is kind of like the business part of it to you? You know, like, because I know myself, like sometimes I feel I get almost more excited or as excited definitely by the business part and the marketing and everything like that involved. You know, how much does that kind of get you going, or is it more the work that's kind of driving you forward? Is that always your focus?
Do you know, I would say, like, I'm not bad with business. I have to say I'm not bad, but like you came from marketing. I'm not bad with my marketing, but I could be better. Like, but I think you just kind of do things that work for yourself. You put things in place, and then if they work, you're like, great. Do you know what I mean? Like me restructure my business when I did, like a few years back, just because I wanted to be a better mum and have more time in my hands. Like the methods now work for me, so I've stuck with them. Obviously as well, like I'm now working with 3 brands, so I'm trying to like go in 3 different avenues, and that's going to be business orientated, and you just have to be really organised and know where you're going.
And what are your 3 brands?
Okay, well, I've got my C2, which is like my everyday normal kind of shoots, you know, newborns, weddings and family portraits and stuff. It's a different kind of style. It's more minimal and it's like no fuss made. Then I've got my Audrey Kelly fine art, which is like Chloe and all my fine art stuff. And then I'm going to be doing my Audrey Kelly photography, which is just going to be aimed towards more higher end clients, and I'm going to just push it that direction. And it's going to be, you know, just like one portrait. So really, again, it's my inspiration from like old masters paintings. I just want like nice portraits, and I actually did have a viewing yesterday with a girl, and she just loved it. So, yeah, it's just trying to get my creative side out, because the C2 clients won't be my Audrey Kelly clients, and you know what I mean, and vice versa. They'll attract to that kind of work. So, so you know yourself, you have to just market it all them 3 different ways. So I have a lot of work.
Absolutely. And so like, let me ask, you know, weddings, portraits, the fine art, the digital art stuff. What kind of really floats your boat? You know, do you still get excited going out to shoot a wedding? Do you still get excited, you know, people are coming in to do their portrait? Or, you know, is it kind of equal, or do you get more kind of do you look forward more to a
Do you
certain
know,
area?
what I've did with my weddings is I've limited them so that I don't, I do get excited about doing weddings because I'm not fed up with them, because I've limited them, I've brought them back to my 30 only, and I stick to that so that I don't get fed up with them. And then my newborns, I'm not intending to have any more children, so when a newborn comes into the studio, that fixes that area. When I'm doing family portraits, like I'm good with people, so that fixes. Do you know? So everything's kind of, I've just a wee piece of everything, and I do love everything the same kind of level, you could say, but I've just have enough of it. The fine art stuff I love now at the minute because it's very new and fresh, and I'm loving all, like, I'm just really like emptying out my brain, you could say, onto my photography, like so it's a good way to trash stuff out that maybe you've been dying to do, and you've no avenue to go with it, if you know what I mean. So like if I did that and did it with my C2, my customers would be confused. They'd be like, where is this coming from? So that's why I thought it was good then to do the different brands and then just aim them to all the different clients that will appreciate that style of work.
Absolutely. And like, for obviously, as I say, there's people watching here who will have heard of you loads, and there's other people who perhaps is the first introduction to yourself, and they will know that you have a great reputation, and you know, how far does that bring you in regards to, you know, just securing that work and kind of keeping that business going, you know?
Yeah, well, I think I think if you're a good people person, then, you know, like WPPA, like I've met so many like great people as well, and I think if you weren't good with people, you know, you didn't gel with them, then that wouldn't happen. Like actually me and Vicky, I can't pronounce her second name on that, but she actually wanted to do a print swap with me. She won like the WPPA this year. She's cleaned up, and she actually had fell in love with my work, and she messaged me to see if we'd do a print swap and things like that. So and then we've just got chatting on Facebook and all, and we've kind of become friends. And I think that if you weren't a people person, then you maybe would have dismissed that opportunity. You know, so I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about your fine art stuff. And first of all, let me ask you, because I get the question often. Somebody posted this in the Engagers group the other day on Facebook. What is fine art? You know, how would you kind of define fine art? I know everybody has different definitions, but to you, what does that mean?
Fine art to me is something that looks like art. It could nearly be a painting. Do you know what I mean? It's expressions. It's like expressing. So like all those paintings years ago, like that was all about expressions and expressing yourself, and like the way that they did that was through paint, whereas like I'm doing it through photography. So yeah, to me that would be art. Yeah.
And when was the first time that you touched upon this kind of genre? You know, what was your first experience?
I actually did a portrait of Chloe. But that time it was like I was working with props, so it was more trying to make it look a wee bit different, because my C2 was like more plain clothes, and there was nothing really jazzy about it. Like it was just like simple. I thought I would try and experiment some with Chloe, and I just had like flowers in her hair, and just a bit mad. I think I had like a big massive thing in her head at one stage. She was like, "Mommy, what are you doing?" But that kind of was the start of it. So it kind of got it a wee bit more fine art, and I liked the fact that it looked like a Renaissance kind of painting. I finished it, and I had it like heat sealed and stuff, and then it's in a nice, like, lovely ornate frame. So to me, then I got excited. I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. So that was the first kind of encounter, just because it was something different, and it was like, like I do my C2 from a bread and butter, and that's kind of like, you're turning the studio portraits and that out. And that's what them clients want. But then this was just something different. So that was the first, and then I just kind of expanded from there.
Cool. So maybe we can I know everybody will be dying to have a look at some of your work, and I'd love to chat to you a little bit more about some of the images that you've created, because they're just incredible, and they're going to blow people's mind when they kind of check them out, and they'll be on.
Some of them come with warnings.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Some
yeah,
of
we
them
can.
for the faint-hearted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, I guess the images are there to elicit a reaction and an emotion, and I know that some of yours, as you've alluded to, so that some people are going to react in a certain way, and other people are going to react in another way. So, I mean, let me ask you about that before we started looking through here. What sort of reactions have you had to some of the work that we're going to look at possibly?
I remember the first reactions I ever got for my fine art piece. The fine art one the very first one that I had did of Chloe was, you know, the floating one. And I remember showing that to my mother-in-law, which probably wasn't a great idea. And her reaction, she hated it.
Oh, yeah.
She thought she just looked like The Exorcist, and she just didn't like it. Whereas, like, if I showed it to somebody more creative, they loved it. And it was me, like, I don't know if you get the same, but whenever you first initially show somebody a picture, you're kind of watching their reaction, and like that's what you kind of feed on, and seeing their reaction. So that's kind of my rewards then. So I love, and that's probably why I started getting into the more dark beauty kind of side of things, because I just like that fact that you're kind of giving somebody that kind of feeling, and you're evoking that kind of emotion. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
if we look at like this image of Chloe, actually, to start with, the one that you're referencing.
Yes, the one with the books.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the inspiration behind that? And I guess we'll then lead on to the rest of the images in the series.
So again, it goes back to my motherhood. Chloe, this was one I took last year, and it was it was the very first composite I ever did, and I was quite happy with it. Very first levitation one I ever did. There is flaws in it. I see that now that I've educated myself a wee bit more. And if I went back to do it again, I would know how to do it differently, kind of thing. Like, but it's a beginning. It was a beginning for me, and it actually did it. Won Pictorial Photographer of the Year that year, 2015, in the PPNI, and I think it got a gold in the SWPP monthlies. But the basis of that, the concept of it was basically, at that time, I was kind of being a wee bit emotional. Chloe was leaving primary school and she was starting high school. And for me as a mum, I just felt like she was kind of leaving me in a way. And like, Chloe hates getting her picture taken. So I thought that I'm going to use her, but I want something for myself, and something that maybe she can look back on and remember her time and that wee transition in her life. And the concept was just really about moving on, and I included the books, and it's meant to be angelic. She's not meant to be an exorcist. So I don't know, it just you know, you've got the path and that, and it's to kind of symbolize, you know, that path in her life that she's going down. And when I was talking to other mums that had went, you know, have children in high school, higher education, and they say that they leave you in a way, you know, they kind of pulled away from you in a way. So I just didn't want to experience that. But so I wanted to try and represent that in the photograph. So that's the books are pulling her away with a force that I can't really control. So that was the start.
Yeah, cool. So a few different things to kind of tease out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, then the digital art. I guess this is your first big foray into it, the one that made a big splash. You know, would you say?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, having a design background, that's obviously helped you massively.
Mm-hmm. I feel like my graphic design really does help me. I think if you were doing anything photography, the graphic design probably goes hand in hand with, because like you've got your album designing and stuff like that too. Like, not saying that I'm the best album designer in the world, like, but for me, even like, just even knowing what we were taught in the graphic design degree, like some of that can kind of follow through too, you know, whenever you're setting up photographs and all.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, just in regards to that image that I'd love to just highlight as well, is it's clear that there's a huge thematic, a theme that runs through your images of great storytelling, you know, and that seems to be at the heart of just even this first image that we've touched on. There's a story, a huge story behind this image, like one image, you know, which like I'm used to like trying to tell this story of a day, you know, across. You know, I like, oh my goodness, I wouldn't want to tell you how many images I shot at the wedding, at the weekend. Nearly 6,000 images from the wedding on Saturday, and Tom was like, what the heck? Because we're shooting a lot, but we're shooting a lot of the same stuff. So, I mean, it's amazing that you impart all of that story into one image, and I guess that's why they have been so successful. Yeah. In what you're doing.
So that's kind of what judges are always looking for, is how well you can tell stories. And maybe it's my interest in film. So in a way, I have to see it as like if that was a film, like you really need to tell a story kind of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? So.
And that's a sign of art, because
Yeah,
you know,
subjective.
obviously, yeah, absolutely. So people are bringing to it their own experience.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got something special. Then, so we'll talk just in regards to Chloe. So we've had a look at that image, and this is actually not just a standalone image, though. It's part of a bigger story, and I don't know. Does this story have an endpoint, or is this something that you've kind of thought, well, I'll shoot X amount of images and I'm done, or is this something that you're planning to carry on?
I'm planning if the time allows me to just keep, like, me and Chloe was meant to do shoot days like a few weeks ago and we got rained off, whatever, but it is something that I'm hoping to continue throughout her life and capture, like, all, like, I just think for me, again, it's like that creating memories. It goes back to what I've said about being a mum, and I just want to create memories, and I just think that Chloe doesn't really appreciate these now. She loves getting the awards for them, and actually I've made a wee pact with her that any picture that wins an award of hers, she gets a day off school the next day. So she's loving all that, and she's loving the fact that she was in the newspaper and all. But for me, like, I know Chloe doesn't appreciate what I'm doing for her now, but I think whenever she's like my age and she looks back at these pictures that I've created for her, I think she will then. And like, she'll remember what that story was back then when she was transitioning from primary school to high school, and do you know what I mean? So I do intend to carry it on.
To put it in context, Chloe's age, so her in the levitation image, what age was Chloe when you
she
shot
was
that?
11.
And she's now
12.
So she's still young, and you've got a long time to kind of keep shooting
so
and stuff.
Or wedding day, I'll get her floating or something like.
That's definitely going to get a gold award, right?
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the second image, and tell us a little bit about this one, and share your thoughts.
So again, like, this was a shoot day. We shot this back in April last year. So my daddy's a farm, and obviously it's the golden hour, which we all love. It actually is only 2 layers, you could say, and I took the picture first of Chloe. I give her like the wee tilly lamp, which metaphorically is me, and it was basically just that I was there as guidance. And again, this is how then something, when I seen it in camera, I was like, yeah, I like it, but I just need something else. So when I got home, I just then started to play about, and it had never been done before, but I just like put this black block and thought, like, I just wanted to represent past, and I wanted to represent like a breakthrough. Do you know what I mean? So I think partly too, I couldn't find a stock picture, or I couldn't find anything to really make it work. So I then just thought that I would use kind of a graphic element, which was kind of digging into my graphic design, and I just done the block black and the doorway kind of cut out of it. So it was really like that, like moving from the past into the future. And actually I've named that one Past, Present, Future, which I think is pretty relevant. I'm really bad at naming my pictures. I can't come up with titles, but that one, it was just so like, I just thought, yes, past, present, future, because the line in the middle is very much the present, like, and then it's her looking into the future kind of thing, like. And then the tilly lamp was basically that I am there if she needs me. Obviously she used me in the past when she needed light, and then now when she's in the future, I'm there if she needs me, kind of thing, like. So it's all metaphorical.
And again, with that image, there's a really strong story behind it and embedded in that image. And it's something I think you could maybe recreate in 20 or 30 years time again with Chloe. Yeah,
definitely. And it's going to be interesting to see her, like, she's obviously going to be a lady, a young woman then, and she's going to be bigger and whatever. So, no, I'm excited. It's something that I've just like a personal project, and I'm excited to kind of keep it continuing, and it should never have an end, really. And that's what I'm saying. It's just really time's going to be a factor, whether, I don't know, maybe I get too busy or whatever, like, but it's something that I just think I need to do it. At the minute, I need to do it. I think it's maybe just because I'm being emotional, because she is going through all these wee transitions and whatnot, like, and it's really just put my emotion out
Yeah.
there. I could run out of emotion. We could
Yeah.
not really bothered anymore.
Turn the tap off.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your shoot days with Chloe. What happens? You know, I don't want you to
Okay,
so much
well,
delve
after
into your
the
process.
dragging her out the door to try and get her to go, she hates them.
Yeah.
But she goes for my sake, and God love her. She is. When she's there, she's obedient, like, and she'll do half effortly, and then I'll scold her. Just typical mother-daughter relationship, and then she'll make a bit more effort. But I think now, whenever we go out shooting, she's really kind of professional about it, and she understands now that I really need to do it properly, and because I do enter them into awards, and she sees now that they're getting awards and we things like that, like, so no, she's good now. She's better.
Yeah. And both these, I guess, it's a good bonding experience
It's
for you
good
guys
bonding.
as well.
It's good bonding too whenever we're not bickering with each other. But no, it is. It's nice. Chloe has absolutely no interest in photography. She wants to be a farmer or a vet. So it's nice to kind of give her a wee bit of like what it could be like, just in case she does ever decide. So no, to me it's good to bond as well. And
both of these images have actually been taken at your home. Is that right, or you know what you said on the farm?
Yes, well, the
and
first one, the very
right,
first one I
yeah.
did was just actually the laneway, just right next to our house, which was really handy.
Yeah, so
I think I just was lazy that day.
Yeah, so it's just for handiness.
Yes.
It's not really part of your.
Yeah, and then actually the one with the doorway, you know, the black on the door, that one is actually just up at my dad's farm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we'll move on. We'll have a look at another image in the series. And this is the third one we have today. How many images altogether have you got within this series so far?
There's probably a few that people haven't seen. Maybe they just like need to work on them a wee bit more or something. But the initial concepts there, I would say I have maybe about 10 to 12 of Chloe, different wee texts, like. So yeah.
And when do you? You know, I'd love to talk a little second about your process and a little bit, but when is kind of done? Because I would imagine, you know, if you're, you know, working in, is it Photoshop that you tend to use?
Photoshop, yeah.
Yeah. So when do you get the point when you say, okay, that one is done and finished? Because I would imagine there must be a tendency, a little bit, to keep on tinkering until you get it.
I don't know. I think you just I think you just know. Like, I tend to kind of keep like things simple. I work with like. I think again it's like my graphic design background. I like no more than about 3 or 4 elements. If I can't tell the story within that and it takes too much more, then I feel like I've killed it a wee bit. So that's kind of a rule that I've set myself. So sometimes it might need 3, it might only need 2. I don't know, it just really depends on the picture and what I'm trying to say, and maybe I need another element to finish it. It's like that one that won the award for SWPP. I thought that was finished, and it was pretty much in camera. I liked that picture as it was until I got home and started thinking about it, and maybe got inspiration from somewhere, and I don't know, maybe watched a horror film or something, and then added another element, and then added another element, and then it's like, bang, there you go. That's it, finished now. And I knew then I shouldn't work on it anymore, that it's finished, it's telling the story that I need to tell, and it's really it. Like, you just walk away.
Yeah, walk away from the computer.
Yeah.
Guys, leave it and just...
Yeah. Or even sometimes actually what I would do is, if I do feel like it does need something else, I'll leave it and I'll go to sleep. Don't just go to sleep during the day, but, you know, leave it at night and then wake up the next morning and look at it again with a fresher eye. I feel like that helps, because... you know, you could maybe just be fed up looking at it too much, and so looking at it with a fresher eye and coming back, like I've seen me coming back to images like maybe 6 months later and thinking, yeah, I'm ready to work on it now again. Do you know what I mean?
How long does each image take from you come up with a concept to you finish it and you say you're done?
Everyone's different. It just depends on what I'm trying. Obviously, levitation photographs are a lot more time consuming. Like the past, present, future one, like that's only 2 layers. That was pretty much taken in camera, and it was only an overlay, really. And but there's other ones that are more intricate, you know, and detailed, so that's going to take a lot longer then. I do like to get stuff pretty much camera ready, or, you know, I don't like to work much more on it after it's took in camera. So I think it's just my film interest, and it's just having that stuff looking really true and real life and believable, you could say. I think if you work on something too much too, it could look too fantasy. So no.
Okay, cool. So talk us through this next image of Chloe.
Okay, this image of Chloe, this is actually a good example of how I left an image for about 6 months. This was taken the same day as I took the past, present, future one. The light was different, and we actually just shot it same location, but this image originally was just Chloe in the cloud, and that was it. It was just a portrait of Chloe floating on the cloud, and it had the grass, and I did like it, but I just always thought it needed something else. So I was at France last May, and we went to the chateau, and I just started to look through all my photographs from it, and then there was just this, I just took like a room view. I went around like taking photos of just room views, just for like stock really of anything, and I then just had the idea then that I'll cut out the door and put Chloe through the door, so that could be my layer, my foreground. Again, it just adds a wee bit more story. The candles were actually there already, which was really good for me because I didn't have to add that element. But I added in the clock and the ladder.
Wow.
So again, this is just an example of like, and now to me, it's finished. I actually thought the editing was really bad, and I entered it into the monthly competition in November, which was the very last one that you can enter before they make, the final results for who's going through to the finals. And I had no hope for it because I seen my flaws in my editing, because I think I kind of rushed it, and it got gold, and then it ended up winning the digital arts. So it just shows you like something that you maybe are too pernickety and you look at and you can notice, like judges and that mightn't notice. So it's just tell your story and don't get too bogged down in it being too perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. Beautiful image. And so now you've got these titles as well: digital art photographer
Digital
of the
artist,
year,
yes.
digital artist of the year. So that's.
I'm actually, well, I don't know. I'm not really good at Photoshop. I know enough.
Yeah.
But again, I just fiddle a lot with it, and I just kind of, you know what you have to do. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you need something good to work with in regards to the original material, though,
you
right?
need a vision. You need a vision, and you need to know then, well, how can I do this? So like, it's like anything you do in life. Like, if you're wanting to do something, you know the tools how to do it. So basically with the images then, it is just like I know my vision, and I know that I had to like cut her out or cut the door out to put Chloe in, and things like that. Like, so you then just teach yourself how to do it.
And do you like using a graphics tablet and stuff? Is that what you?
I actually I use like the touchpad mini cases. It's a lot better, but I find it really hard to get used to. That's the only thing. Like, but no, the mouse or the touchpad is.
Yeah, so you spend a lot of hours behind the computer then working on these.
Late at night, I have my what do they call it? The golden hour in photography terms. Where like it's always after midnight. Whereas I my best editing is. I think it's maybe just because I've got peace and quiet too, and I can sit down and I can do it. And I've got no like wains coming or no husband, or do you know what I mean? So I've got that time to sit and concentrate and do the work. So
this isn't back to the horror films, is it? The witching hour.
Witching hour, maybe.
Yeah, that's what you do when you get your editing on. So let's move on to talk about an incredible series of images that I believe you're very successful in WPPI with. So let's. Do you want to chat us through first of all the image, which is a little bit has been a little bit controversial, but also has been very successful in regards to the awards and stuff.
Okay, well this one, as I say, this was the one that Jerry actually judged, and his version, I actually probably preferred his version, if I'm honest. Like, but for me, this was taken in a chateau in France last year. Whenever I visited France last May, the girl was there. She was reaching. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew that I wanted to, make it seem taller. So it was entrapment first. I wanted her to feel trapped. Then this is like an example again of an image that if you add another element, it just tells a completely different story. So that was my concept first off. And then when I got home, I actually then started thinking about other aspects, and I don't know how, I just started thinking about nooses and of things like that. I actually then had liked Fran Fromage, I think her name is. I went to like a workshop of hers. It was just taken up in Belfast, and she like did a lot of stuff, and it was like there might have been just like a random arm, like her stuff's amazing, like, and a random arm just coming out of a doorway. And I really loved the fact that it was like there was like a mystery kind of behind it. So that kind of then inspired me then to add the hand. So I initially had then the girl, and then I then added the rope, and then I added the hand. And obviously the hand had to been coming out of somewhere, like a hole in the roof or whatever, like or a loft door. I thought maybe the loft door would have been just too clean, so I just like maybe like a crack in the roof or something. So that's how that kind of came about. So it shows how like a story can change. So initially it was about being trapped, and I was going to make the room taller, and then I just got more inspiration when I got home and started looking at it more and thinking about it. And then actually what then I took from it was some personal in my life, like I feel like from business that there's a lot of people that want to see you fail, basically. So no matter, they could be your friends, but they this was kind of the message on this, was basically for me it meant that like you're reaching for help, and the help's there, but they would nearly give you the rope to hang yourself as well, kind of thing. So that was my concept, that there is that person there in your life that they're there to help you, but at the same time they would give you the rope to kill yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was my concept behind it. Jerry says that it was like a young girl was somebody that was suicidal, and that it's all, and the hands were like the devil or evil, and teasing them into the dark side, kind of thing, like. So I'm like, yeah, I'll stick with Jerry's. Jerry's concept was pretty cool. Like, so it just shows you that was my concept and that was Jerry's concept. So I just can show you how two different viewers can see it differently. Somebody else might see something else completely different, and some people might just not like it at all.
Mm-hmm. But it's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
The other images in the series as well. What was the whole inspiration behind this whole series? Because I know that you shot this all in one day.
Yeah. So
in the
my
chateau.
associate panel.
Yeah, your associate.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you shot it all one day, and then obviously you worked on those images, I assume, afterwards and stuff.
Yeah.
So what kind of took us? Where did you get the inspiration? I know a little bit of your story because you've told me, but share with the audience.
Yeah. So basically, when we visited the chateau, like everybody else was probably observing the beauty. It was beautiful. But me being me and loving my horror films, I just loved the fact it was so creepy. And that's what really inspired me. So I knew that if we got to shoot, we got the hire off it, and there was models there, and we got to use the whole castle or the whole chateau. And basically, I just seen, because of what I love as a person, I seen something completely different, and I wanted to create like a horror series. So I hand chosen the models. So there was one girl, and she was really great for the part. Like, she really played a character well. And there's one picture in particular. Again, it's inspired by The Ring. I don't know if you've seen the horror film The Ring.
Yeah.
Loved that film.
Pretty scary.
Creeped me out. Yeah. So she was great for it because she got the long dark hair and yeah. So it's kind of, I then just created a story in my head. I had to make up characters. Why were they there? What was the relationship between the characters? So it was two sisters actually, and one is the evil sister. So again, it's me loving the psychological horrors rather than the gruesome horrors, and I just wanted that kind of just a bit kind of weary and just make people feel uncomfortable when they see it. And it did actually, the one with the girl in the wardrobe, I think one of the judges in WPPI, I heard her saying it gave her goosebumps. And I was like, yes, success, do you know what I mean? So to me, that means that it's worked. What I was aiming to do was to give people that wee bit of fear or make them feel a wee bit uneasy. Then to me, then it was like a success. Then.
Yeah. Would you ever consider maybe directing your own horror movie? I think I'd like to see it.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I actually was interested even in going into like director of photography and to film. But I don't know. I need to do what I'm doing at the minute first.
Yeah, you're gonna scare the bejesus out of everybody if you ever pick up a film camera. So cool, everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed that little insight into Audrey and her inspiration and her incredible work. You heard it here first, guys. You're going to hear a lot more of the name Audrey Kelly over the next while. She's going to be winning up all the awards that there are in the country and just producing some incredible work. We'll make sure to let you know where you can find out more about Audrey and her incredible digital and fine art photography and everything else that she's up to, and no doubt you may see her on the road pretty soon. If you enjoyed this class, please make sure to rave about it on social media. Let all your friends know all about it. You can purchase this class by clicking on the link, and you can re-watch it again and again. From all of us at Engage Live and Audrey Kelly, thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you back here really, really soon.